Hey there, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Carrie with Blue City Pickin, and if you're new here, I'm a part-time reseller that sells stuff on eBay after I find it at thrift sales, estate sales, yard sales, and I'll go shopping just about anywhere to flip something for a profit, hopefully. We even clean stuff out of our own house to sell, which has got to be one of the best things about reselling. Sorry, had something pop up in the background. All right, so this is Ching number 68. This is what sold September the 23rd through the 27th, so 4 days. Definitely slower, but that's okay. We have highs and lows. If you watched Ching number 67, you saw that I had an absolutely awesome end weekend of last week. This has just been a slower few days. I even ran a 10% off sale on eBay the last few days to see if that would get some sales going, and it really hasn't. I've still been consistently listing and all of that, so I'm not sure what's going on, but we'll just move on and do our thing. I had 22 sales, but 2 of them were personal items that I actually lost decent money on. So I'm not going to include those in my numbers here, but I will show you what I sold. These were things that I had bought for a gift for my daughter, and I actually got an okay deal on them when I bought them. They were on sale, but you know, Lego, sometimes it goes up in value and sometimes it doesn't. These 2 retired sets did not go up in value, so lost a little bit of money on those. So I had a $439 in gross sales. The price I agreed upon with the buyer was $303.39. I had $71.37 in cost of goods, and so my gross profit was $166.39, or about 55% margin, which is really good. Average profit per item though was $8.32. So of my 20 sales, 19 of them were bread and butter. I only had one where I made more than $15 profit on that item. Once again, okay. You will see I learned some lessons here on things I won't pick up again. And then some things I had picked up with the intent of listing it lower than the bread and butter, and that's okay too, or intent of listing it as bread and butter. That's just part of my eBay journey, is that sometimes I have really great weekends or weeks with lots of really nice profitable sales, and then I have some weeks that are just kind of like meh, and that's okay too. All right, let me go ahead and sort these out from best to worst, and you know what, we will actually start with the 2 that I lost money on that were Lego items. The first thing was the Lego Marvel Iron Man Armory. This was from the Infinity Saga. It was retired. I bought this several years ago for my daughter for her birthday, and she ended up wanting something else. It was too late to return it, so I just stuck it up in the closet. Well, we went through the closet and cleaned out a bunch of old Lego sets that we have no intention of putting together or just hanging on to. And so I had paid $62.99 for this a couple years ago. It sold for $49.99. And so I lost $23.01, and it sold within a day of it being listed. The other thing that I sold was a Spider-Man Final Battle Lego Marvel Far From Home. It was brand new. I didn't remember paying this much, but I did go back and look at my Lego order. It says I paid $110 for it. It sold for $89, so I lost $33.91 after 4 days. But I recouped money that had just been sitting in the closet and that we had no intention of keeping. So all in all, okay. All right, so first thing that sold was a pair of Justin Brown leather cowboy boots. These were men's size, 9.5 double E. Too rare of a size, we'll never pick that up again. Paid $11.99 for these at a regular Goodwill back in April of 2024. They finally sold for $16.15, and so I made $1.42. after 480 days, but I'm happy those are gone. I've gotten a lot more picky about which boots I pick up these days. I have not picked up cowboy boots in quite some time, but yeah, I am a lot pickier. Next is a vintage hand weaving loom and hook kit with some jersey loops. I paid $2 for this at a estate sale about a month ago. It sold for $8.37, so I made $3.72 after 20 days. Sales were super slow, so I did accept a couple of lower offers that I probably normally wouldn't have. Next one also being one of them. Next, this is a Pillow Fort Cheetah Plush. I paid $1.49 for this at the Goodwill bins back at the end of August. I got an offer and a message from a sweet buyer saying that she was trying to replace her son's Lovey. And she offered me $8, and I just went ahead and accepted it and made $4.64 after 14 days. Next is another plush. This is a Mary Meyer Putty Bear. He was gray. Picked him up at the bins for $1 back in July. He sold for $9, and so I made $6.15 after 29 days. Next item is from my Harry Potter shelf cleanup. This is a Wizarding Trunk Ogden September 1925 Memories Pensieve glass bottle. Nothing into this. It sold for $9, and so I made $6.43 in just 5 days. Next is another thing from that estate sale where I picked up the weaving loom and kit. This was a Busia needlework kit. This was the Serenity Prayer sampler. New kit. I picked up a ton of sewing kits at that sale. I had $1 into this one, and so it sold for $9.72, and I made $6.97 after 20 days. So easy to list and ship though. I will continue to pick those up. I have sold quite a few of them. I have another one that I will be going over in just a minute. And I'm making, $5 to $10 on every single one. I think I picked up like 30 to 40 of them. So that's some pretty decent profit. Next up is something from my daughter's room clean out. This is a set of 4 Disney trading pins. These were Wally and Eve. Nothing into these. They sold for $9, and so I made $7.05, and those sold the same day I listed them. Next up is a vintage MCM style blue hand-blown art sculpture vase. I actually picked this up in Florida around Thanksgiving last year from a Goodwill, and I paid $7.41 for it. I just thought it looked really cool, but I got an offer for $19, and I just went ahead and accepted it, and so I made $7.10 after 288 days. It's time to let it go. All right, next up is a set of Ugly Dolls. That is a Plush brand. If you're not familiar with it, you should look it up. Everything of Ugly Dolls that I've ever picked up has sold. I actually lotted this up. It was Bobo, Trunco, and Grudy plush, and then there was a bag clip, I think, of one of them. Had $1.06 into this from the bins back in May. It sold for $10.80, and so I made $7.19 after 105 days. Next is a pair of 8 stir spoons. These are more like iced tea spoons. The pattern was Rogers Brothers Remembrance. I had $1.52 into these from a regular Goodwill last October. They sold for $11.50, so I made $7.68 after 315 days. Next is a fun one. This is a vintage raccoon hand puppet. It was Country Critters was the brand. I had $1.30 into this from an estate sale last December. It sold for $12, and so I made $8.06 after 277 days. Next is one of the things that I have quit picking up. I do still pick up the accessories, but not the dolls anymore. This was a vintage Cabbage Patch Kids doll. It had reddish brown hair and brown eyes. I had $1.50 into her from an estate sale last November, which I think it was like the doll and clothes in a lot when I bought this at the estate sale. So I wouldn't have necessarily just bought the doll. I'm pretty sure I bought a couple bags of the clothes and it was all like one price. She sold for $11.85, so I made $8.23 after 293 days. Next is a fun sale from a recent estate sale I just went to just a few days ago, but I got this listed right away. This was Evil Dead 2, Dead by Dawn, 1987, cult horror classic VHS. I know that I should look at the horror movies, so at this estate sale, there was a big box of VHS. I pulled out 4 or 5, I think, horror movies. They were $1 a piece. It sold for $15, and so I made $8.38, and it sold the same day I listed it. Next is a set of X-Men comics. Honestly, I'm just trying to get my money back on these and making a little bit. I think the ones that were worth decent money, I've already sold. This is a run of, I think, 10 from 222 to 231. They sold for $25. I had 10 into them, so I made $9.57 after 11 days. I have a few more lots left, but I mean, I've made decent money on it, but I've learned I hate taking pictures of comic books and listing them. I'd had them since April and I hadn't listed them, and I finally just buckled down and did it in September, and they've all sold fairly quickly. So anyway, next is another pin lot. This was Pocahontas lot of 3 different Disney trading pins. Nothing into this, came out of clean out from my daughter's room. $12 is what they sold for, so made $9.69, and those sold the same day I listed them as well. Next is another Busia. This was a repeat buyer, so if this was you, thanks so much for coming back to the store. This was a Dinosaur Family Special Edition stamped tied quilt topper. $2 into this from, like I said, the estate sale about a month and a half ago. It sold for $15, and so I made $9.96 after 16 days. Next is something that I thought I was going to get more money on, but I was getting, like I said, sales were super duper slow, and I got an offer that I just went ahead and accepted just to keep things moving out of the store. This is a pair of Olakai men's Ohana flip-flops. They were black, size 11. I actually bought these for my husband, not with the intent to resell. He said they were just a half a size too big, so I ended up listing them. I did pay $9.10 for these at a regular Goodwill back, I think just a week ago. They sold for $25, so I made $11.72 after just 8 days. Next item is a new Banana Republic women's dress. It was a size 6, red sheath, shift, midi, and sleeveless. Paid $3.50 for this at a regular Goodwill back in July when they had one of their 50% off sales. So $3.50 was a great price. Got an offer for $22, which I accepted, and I made $13.46 after 58 days. Next 2 items were actually things I picked up on that exact same day at Goodwill's 50% off sale. So best sales came from things I had picked up there. Next is a Viking Revolution men's facial skin care kit. It was sealed, brand new, not expired. I paid $3 for this at the Goodwill. Got an offer for $20, which I accepted, and so I made $13.57 after 59 days. And last but certainly not least is a pair of men's Vans SpongeBob SquarePants slip-on shoes, size 13. They were in pretty good condition. I did do magic eraser just around the bottom of the white so that those cleaned up really nicely. I did pay $12.50 for these. Got an offer for $35, which I just went ahead and accepted, and I made $15.40 after 56 days listed. Fastest thing that sold were a couple things that sold with the same day I listed. I had the boots that took 480 days to sell, and my average was 103 days. Let's see, where did things come from? 53% of my profit came from Goodwill, 27% came from estate sales, 14% from home clean out, and 6% from Whatnot. As far as the distribution and genres that I sold this week, household goods, including kitchen decor, were about 34%. Clothing, shoes, and accessories is pretty low this week at 25%. Toys, board games, plush, everything at 21%, and then collectibles at 20% this week. So pretty even across the 4 main categories that I sell in, but usually my clothing, shoes, and accessories come in at about 50%, so definitely on the lighter end this week with that. So all in all, an okay 4 days. My goal is usually to sell 5 items and list 5 items a day. My goal is also $15 average profit per item, but that is an average. What sold, I beat that average. This what sold, I came in much lower. However, a number of these items were purchased with the intent to sell for less than $15 per item because they were easy listers, easy shippers, and I think I shipped out 11 things this morning and it took me maybe 20 minutes. So those things do exist that move that fast and that you can ship out super fast. If you don't mind, if you like this kind of content, I do put out 3 videos a week. Hauls, so you can see what I am picking up to resell, and then what sold videos like this, so you can see what's actually moving out the door. I don't not show anything, so you guys will see everything that is coming in the door and out the door. I do have a few things that I buy that I don't haul, but for the most part, I haul most everything that I pick up so that you can see everything that's coming in the door and what I paid for it. Let's see. If you don't mind, I would genuinely appreciate a like. If you like the content, hit subscribe for me and leave me a comment down below. Have you had a couple slow days on eBay or are you still chugging along? And we will see you in the next one. Thanks so much for stopping by. Bye.